Welcome to Scrapbook My Life, where I tell you an embarrassing story to save you from making the same embarrassing mistakes I did. I was in my neighbor Julia's pool, soaking up one of the last long, warm days of freedom before what was sure to be my best year yet, 8th grade. I had bought new clothes over the summer, I had learned that blue looks good on me and cargo shorts do not, and my bangs had finally started to grow out. This was going to be the year that I was finally going to talk to my crush Jake. I was swimming around, daydreaming about my new 8th grade life. When it happened, Julia accidentally opened the gate, letting out her 95-pound Rottweiler, Cookie. Cookie loved swimming. All of a sudden, Cookie was flying full speed through the air towards the pool. Everything felt like it was moving in slow motion, until Cookie finally landed, paws first, on my head. I looked down. There was red in the pool. It was definitely blood. Cookie's nail had scratched my forehead wide open. A couple minutes later, I was at the hospital. I had to get 26 stitches. I wasn't even scared about the stitches. Blood doesn't gross me out. But I was terrified when the doctor handed me a mirror. There was a brand new, giant scar on my forehead. How was I gonna make 8th grade the best year ever with a giant scar on my forehead? The doctor said it would heal, but that I had to be careful about smiling too big or laughing too hard. That didn't seem like it was going to be a problem. What was there to smile about now that I looked more like a grizzled old Western villain than an 8th grader? 3 days later, I dragged myself out of bed for the first day of school. I borrowed my mom's makeup and put it all over the still fresh stitches. I did a pretty good job. I walked into PE. I'd made it almost the whole day without anyone noticing my scar. I looked up and realized that Jake was in my PE class. We'd never had a class together before. The world felt like it was moving in slow motion again, but this time, it wasn't a dog coming towards me. It was Jake. Jake was talking to me. 8th grade was going to be the best year ever. But then, he made a joke. I remembered the doctor's warning about me laughing, but it would be weird if I didn't laugh, unless I told him that I couldn't laugh because of my scar, but I didn't want to tell him about the scar. There was no good option. I made a split-second decision. I opened my mouth and laughed my biggest, most charming laugh. How much harm could one laugh do? It turns out, a lot. Jake's face went totally blank. His eyes got wide. I reached up and touched my head. It was wet. I had laughed so hard that I popped one of my stitches out and blood was trickling down my face. Jake stared at me. I stared at Jake. Without saying anything, I ran out of the gym and all the way to the nurse. I had to go back to the doctor and get my head restitched. When I got back to school, there was no hiding the scar. It was even bigger. I tried to hide from Jake, but he saw me anyway. He made a beeline for my locker. I couldn't avoid him. Apparently, Jake actually thought my scar was cool. He asked me to tell him the whole story. It's crazy, but that giant scar you're super embarrassed about might actually be cool to someone else. So wear that scar proud. But don't laugh too hard because your stitches might pop out.